My landlord thought evicting me during chemo was a smart move. He was wrong. 2 years ago, my world imploded. Stage 3 cancer diagnosis, followed almost immediately by losing my job because I was too sick to work reliably. Savings dwindled fast. I lived in a small apartment, owned by a guy who only cared about the rent check clearing on the first of the month, sharp. I explained my situation, provided doctor's notes, assured him I was applying for disability and had family helping, but the rent would be late sometimes. He seemed understanding at first. Then came the chemo. It hit me like a truck. Exhausted, nauseous, barely able to get out of bed some days. My rent was a week late one month, then 2 weeks the next, though I always paid the late fees. On a particularly bad day, weak and barely coherent, I found an eviction notice taped to my door. 3 days to vacate. Panicked, I called him. He was cold. Said he couldn't run a charity and that my situation wasn't his problem. He mentioned he already had a new tenant lined up who could pay more. I felt utterly broken. Kicked out while fighting for my life. I called my sister, sobbing. She was furious. Turns out, while I was sick, she'd been reading up on tenant rights in my city. What the landlord was doing, evicting a critically ill tenant without proper procedure, especially after I'd communicated and was making payments, was highly illegal. And retaliatory eviction because I couldn't pay exactly on time due to a documented disability? Even worse. My sister helped me contact legal aid. They jumped on the case immediately. We filed an emergency motion to stop the eviction. The judge was not amused by my landlord's actions, especially when presented with my medical records and proof of payments. The eviction was halted. But we didn't stop there. Legal aid helped me file a counterclaim for wrongful eviction attempt, discrimination based on disability, and emotional distress. The landlord tried to bluster his way through, but his case crumbled. Emails where he dismissed my illness, the illegal notice, his admission of lining up a new tenant for higher rent, it all came out. Faced with significant penalties and damages, he offered to settle. The settlement covered my rent for the remainder of my lease, plus a significant amount for damages. Enough to let me focus solely on my treatment without financial terror hanging over me. He also had to attend a fair housing practices course. Best part? He had to send me a formal, written apology. Reading it felt like a small victory against the cruelty I'd faced. I finished chemo, and I'm now in remission. Found a new place, a better job. Sometimes hitting rock bottom shows you how strong you really are, and who will help you fight back.